So we're looking at learning outcome 3, and this learning outcome is be able to use technologies in delivering inclusive teaching and learning. So 3.1 is analyze benefits and limitations of technologies used in your own area of specialism. And then 3.2 is use technologies to enhance teaching and meet individual learner needs. So again, we're just going to look at different types of technology that you might use in your classroom and in your work environment. So when we're looking at a technology, it's for educational technology. We just use it in an aspect that we can teach and also monitor learning processes. So we look at technology and the way it has digitized classrooms. I mean, when I was younger, we used to have those traditional blackboards or those whiteboards where the teachers would just, write things out using a whiteboard marker. But since I've been teaching, it's been those interactive smart boards. You can go and touch the screen. You can put your PowerPoints on, videos on, access the internet. So there's so many things that have changed. So in a way, technology has actually digitized classrooms because we're learning through lots of different tools now. We've got iPads. We can interact with each other through smartphones. Obviously, that's not as much for the little ones up to high school or college settings. But for adult learning, sometimes I'll have students that will access my lessons using their iPhone or their Samsung. We have those digital whiteboards like I was telling you. So again, this technology has enabled us to really expand what we do and also to develop our own learning as well. So if we are learning new tricks and techniques, we're able to enhance our students' engagement, we're able to motivate them, and we're able to interest them in their own unique way to help them to learn as well. So I'm a big fan of technology in the classroom. So 3.1 is analyze the benefits and limitations of technologies used in your own area of specialism. So when we're using technology within a learning environment, it has, like I've said, helped us to adapt over the years. So in the beginning, we'd have telephones or walkie-talkies to interact if we're in different sides of the buildings. We'd have basic computer systems where we took our register. We'd be able to use the photocopier to scan and photocopy, but there'd be that basic photocopiers. Now we can do online classrooms, virtual lessons. You've got Zoom, Teams. You've got homework submission that can be done online and, actually physically carried out, activities, games, virtual parents meetings. Now I used to sit into, I'd be in a classroom. I'd send my work to print from my computer, and then when I was free, I'd just go to the scanner or to the printer, the big machines that we've got, and I'd just type in my code and I'd access everything, print everything off, as many copies as I need. I'd get them collated with staples. So it really did cut down time on what I could physically do. So you're not there with one book and you're, turning pages, scanning and trying to make multiple copies out of it. It's so much easier with technology now. So we've got different uses of technology. I found this image online and I thought it was fantastic because you can do coding, you can do presentations, you can create cartoons, and especially if you're doing like media studies type or arts and crafts type things, collaborate with each other, create storylines, get your students really interested. I remember doing some lessons where we were teaching the year 1 group to, how to use an iPad, how to make a video, how to delete a video, how to take photos. And for us, it was we were teaching them how to be savvy on online, how to use basic things that are quite normal now. But for them, they just thought it was fun because they were walking around doing little, poses and modeling and things and, fixing their hair and all that. So they were so engaged because they thought they were playing, but we were actually teaching them. So it is nice to have.
Yeah.
So you got the advantages of technology. So it's greatly increased production. it saves a lot of time. I mean, it saves a lot of time when it works. Sometimes if it doesn't work, then it's very time consuming, but that's into disadvantages, isn't it? You have lots of different ways that you can communicate. So you can use like specialized programs for EAL. I mean, I quite like the Welcome, WELLCOMM, package that has been created for EAL because it's interactive. You can do games, you can do flashcards on it, and it really goes down well with especially younger learners.
Sorry, what is that?
It's a program called Welcome. Now every school uses something different, so it's just WELLCOMM, so Welcome, and it's a program that is available for, and there's loads of programs available, to be honest. This is one of my favorites. It's because it's been created for English as an additional language, and you have lots of like interactive activities on it. You've got games on it. You can assess your learner and see how they're getting along with reading and writing and pronouncing. So it's one of those communication systems that have been implemented using media just to get your students interacted, and you can assess them and help them to learn English as well. But again, like I said, there's a million different programs available, and every school uses a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can have safe storage, so you're not walking around with like a big file of papers for 30 students. You've got all of their details in one database. Technology can help students to learn, like we know. They can help them to engage, because students now love technology. They love to use it. They find it fun, and it's a new skill that they can learn. So it's nice, very good motivation and engagement tool. Technology helps learners with additional learning as well. So sometimes you might want to just use it in a simple way where you do a bit of a lesson and then you see that your student can't focus for that amount of time, or they're finding it difficult to cope. So you can give them technology. Let them play a maths game. They'll think it's just a game that they're playing, but you'll know that they're actually learning while they're doing it as well. So it gives them a bit of a timeout. And then technology also helps you to collaborate and build teamwork as well. So not just with students, but also with adults and colleagues that you're working with. You'll be able to work together to create presentations and handouts and worksheets together, so you can share them across your year groups. You're working together, so you're team building. Sometimes if you've got an activity where the little ones, your students, are working together, you can teach them, turn taking, sharing, listen to each other, be kind, and all those things.
Yeah.
So I've gone through a few advantages. Can you think of any advantages that you have experience with?
I can say it's like easy to approach, time saving rather than even for the planning. So everything is handy, like you can use videos or PPT while putting the input in the classroom. So if there is any mistake, you can correct on straight away.
Yes.
And
exactly.
While showing videos, it helps, like they can see live use of the things if we are learning about anything, Suppose if we are learning about materials, so we can show how to recycle materials or what kind of materials are used in what purposes.
It's true with that. And I also like your point where you're saying when you're showing videos and it helps them to learn. But even when you're showing them videos, it's freeing up your time as well, so you can physically look at everyone and you can focus on the children that you identify who you think looks confused, who's paying attention, who might need a little bit more help. So it frees up a few extra minutes just for you to be able to focus on them and look at them, because that does make a big difference in your attention as well.
Yeah.
So disadvantages. So technology, again, it's not 100% safe. Sometimes you can get hacked. Sometimes you can not password protect things properly, or there can be access given to other people that shouldn't have it. It can affect your social life. Now, sometimes with the technology, as teachers, as associates as us working in schools and within the education system, we rely very heavily on technology. But sometimes the same happens at home as well, where it's a very big emphasis on technology. A lot of children, young people, adults will spend so much time on their phones, on the iPads, on games. So it really does affect that ability for your social life. Now, when I was a child, I'd make my own fun, even if I had no friends outside at that time. I'd be in the garden, I'd be lost in my own mind, just wandering around, probably looking like a little fool, just twirling around the garden. But, I'd have a lot of fun with my siblings where we'd be out, we'd just be creating things and doing things and getting up to mischief. But now you find that it's not as much that it has affected. So sometimes it can affect your sharing skills. It can affect the way you pronounce certain things or use certain terminology. Now, I remember a young child who, British born, 2 British parents over here, everybody in the family had English accents. Now, this young child was on technology for a very considerable amount during the day. And because of it, and because of the early age that she started off with, she actually adopted an American accent. She'd use all the American terminology. Instead of saying cling film, she'd go saran wrap and, those type of things. And it really did affect her language quite a lot because she picked up on a different time zone, a different country. So it can affect you quite a lot.
Okay.
Technology can lead to distraction. So sometimes what will happen is you'll be like, right, we're all going to do coding today, but then you'll find someone else one of the students would have opened the game up and started playing something else. So, and it can be distracting, or saying they're not sharing, they're messing with this and so on. It's expensive. You'll need additional training. Data protection can be effective because sometimes we don't password protect our work, or we don't, do the things that we should be doing. There's possibilities for groomings and possible dangers as well, which we do teach about to bring awareness, but again, the possibilities are there. And then again, it's lack of personalization. It's you handing off a set of iPads, say, here you go, off to work. Everybody's doing the same type of work. But there's not much of adaptation or personalization going on at that time. So this is my list of disadvantages. Do you have any that you can think of?
I can say maybe not every child likes technology because some are not too friendly with that, or maybe hesitate to use it. They don't know how to use exactly. Yeah. I'm talking about the age I'm working with. That could take time for others to learn. And some are very keen that they don't give the turn to other children that they can do. So they will be like, okay, you move away, let me do that.
Do you see that quite often? You don't know one child that's very comfortable with using, say, an iPad, another one that might not have used it before, and they just sort of snatch off and, oh, okay, I'll do it. You just watch.
Yes.
So for here, when you're looking to point 1, you just need to start off with a paragraph about the different technologies you have in your setting, and I've got a couple, and you probably have a lot more in your experience. So you got your interactive whiteboard, your iPads, laptops, mobile phones, virtual classrooms. Then you can talk about homework, like how you can, submit it through Google Classroom, Satchel 1, and so on. And then again, technology like hearing aid loops as well. So, and certain assistive software that is available. So start off with a paragraph about what sort of technologies you use in your setting. You can even talk about how you take the register on the computer, or how you send your work wirelessly to the printer, and on those type of things. Then, after you've done that paragraph, carry out a detailed analysis of the benefits and limitations of these technologies. So have a section where you've got the benefits and support it with an example. It doesn't have to be a really big example, but just a few sentences for each one. And then a paragraph about the limitations, so a section of that. what are the limitations, and give some examples to show me what the limitations are and how they affect your classroom. And then at the end, add your own judgment. So what do you think about the use of technology in your setting? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you think it's a time waste, or do you think it's a fantastic thing that really saves, it gives you a lot of benefits? So make sure you put your own judgment in.
Okay.
So are you okay with 3.1? Is there anything you want to go over?
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Brilliant. Let's go on to 3.2. So 3.2 is use technologies to enhance teaching and meet individual learner needs. So again, we all know that technology can be used to enhance the learning experience within your classroom. And it can be quite a big difference as well. Technology also in my hand, for what I found when I'm doing research or assisting my students, is I found that it helps me to learn new skills and techniques, and helps me to adapt the way I teach when I know what my learners' needs are, what sort of interactions they have, what sort of assistance, if they need less assistance, if they need more assistance, and it helps me to get an idea of exactly how much I can do. So you can actually use technology in a lot of different things. You can set challenges. You can help to apply new contexts within teaching. So within this, it's just, put in a new idea, put in a new plan, see what sort of things you can do within your teaching. You can use technology to carry out assessments. So you might have seen that you can do your own learning styles, quizzes. You can I could set up a test where you could go through it, and I'd find out what your knowledge is about the topic that you're starting, what sort of areas of strengths you've got, what sort of gaps you've got. You can do self-quizzing, like I think you might have already done this at the beginning of the course, where I think you conducted a learning style questionnaire where you found out what your own learning style was.
Yeah.
And then technology also helps to encourage participation. So regardless of what your skills are, there is something that you can do, and you can all be participating within that. And again, technology can also be used for the following. So adapting and differentiating work. I like this one, using interactive games to assess learning. This is something that we used to do at lunchtime when I was in primary. So within the line-up to lunch, we knew we had 5 minutes. The children had washed their hands. I put especially maths games. I knew that some of the children in the class struggled with certain aspects of maths. So we put up have a train with missing numbers, and we'd say, okay, which number goes next? And then you'd be able to assess them in that quick 5 minutes, or you'd be able to assess pattern work or those type of things. So it's nice to be able to assess what your students' learning is.
Mm-hmm.
You can use specific software programs to support EAL as well. Create presentations on a basic way, handouts, create resources. You could even use the projector that's connected to your computer to project onto the whiteboard. So if you're doing an art activity and you're wanting to show the children how to make a self-portrait, you could draw your own face and show them, look, I'm making it to, I want to make sure that it covers the whole page and it's not just a tiny little dot on one corner, so you can model your work. And again, I don't know what your reward system is in your school, but the ones that I've worked at, we used to have student encouragement. We used to do this through the interactive whiteboard as well. We'd have class charts up. We'd have dojos, where dojos were just like certain a reward system where they'd get certain points or little icons that they could plug into their own under their name, where they'd say, oh, okay, you've done fantastic, you get 3 dojos, and they drag 3 icons under their name. Mm-hmm. And you've got point systems, the traffic light system, where you've got, when you've done all this, you can actually physically go to the school shop and they can go and actually purchase particular items as a reward at the end of term. So it is a good student encouragement. What do you actually do in your school? What is your reward system?
To be honest, earlier we were having quite of dojo points, or some teachers use dojo points, some was
Hmm.
giving stickers, but now I think they have taken that policy away. So there is, apart from appreciation, there is nothing. So
Okay.
you're not giving any stickers or anything. It's just kind of verbal appreciation.
Verbal praise instead, yeah. So that's good as well, because then at least they know that they're doing well and they're still getting the praise within that. So again, so within this, what sort of technologies do you actually use to enhance your own teaching? What helps you teach technology-wise?
You can see there are lots of programs, especially which is kind of like fun games for the children. So whether it's related with phonics, I know there are reading eggs, and some sort of word comes and where they can read, that pops up. So they click on that and see they read. So it's kind of encouraging them to read further, which develop
Yeah.
their reading skills.
Yeah, like we used to have Ob and Bob, where you do the alien words and you'd have
Yes.
real words and have to feed the right alien with those words, so they are good for those.
Yeah.
And now another question for you. So how these technologies that you've got that help you with your teaching, how does this help you to meet your learners' needs?
Because when we are doing these, we can pick the children who need most encouragement or who need help to read that. So it's kind of when they can read and they can pop a balloon, it's like they want to do more further and further. So mostly the children who are low or struggling with their reading, so we pick those up, and when they can read, it's kind of we are assessing at the same time that if it's helping them or not, then we can change according to their needs. The level can be changed of the games.
Exactly. No, that's good. So on here, when you're answering 3.2, just start off with a detailed example of how you use technology in your setting. So you could have it as an example of focusing on one particular learner, or you can focus it on helping different types of learners within your own classroom setting. So when you do that, within your example, these are some points that I've put in that you can consider, and there might be a lot more that you have personally as well. So think about what activities you do. So you might make presentations, you might use games and videos. Sometimes you might resort to using iPads during IT time. You might even create things like handouts. I know that I use technology a lot to do planning and preparation and assessments. So what sort of activities do you physically do? How does this help you with your teaching? So what is the benefits of this? When you're planning a lesson or preparing a PowerPoint or carrying out assessments and tests for your students, how is this helping you with your teaching? What sort of benefits is it giving you? And then because of this technology that you're using, how does this different types of technology, so when you've used the technology to make a presentation, so you've made a generic presentation in the classroom, everybody's looked at it, but then the handouts that you've created, you might have created 3 types of handouts to cater for different learners. You might have had one for EAL, you might have had one for low ability group, you might have one for mid to high ability group. So how is this helping you? What you've done on technology wise, how did this help you to meet your learners' needs? So I just should do on this bit here, just have a detailed example, talk about your class in general, and then focus on what you do with technology, and then bring in some points about how you help, say, child A, because they have a hearing impairment, and how did you focus on them? How do you help child B with EAL? How do you help child C who has learning difficulties? And that type of thing. So just focus it on them. So do you have any questions on here?
No. So it's basically just I'm explaining an example in detail, yeah? So
in the example, you have like 3 different sections. So it's not a paragraph, but just 3 sections where you're just focusing on what activities you do, how these activities help you with your teaching, and then how this technology helps you to meet learner needs.
Okay.
So in total, we've just looked at the benefits and limitations of technologies that you can use in your primary. And then we've also looked at technologies and how they enhance teaching and how they also help you to meet your individual learner needs.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop recording.